Hi everyone, this is Bhumika Indulia, and this is my first roundtable discussion, so I thought of making it a bit informal. When I first conceptualized this idea, I was very clear about one thing. I don't want this discussion to be men versus women, but I would rather ask another question. What can women actually do to make their career, their profession more fulfilling? While we cannot control the situation around us, but what we can do is to navigate it together. And in order to bring this discussion, I have invited some of the great minds, my friends, and someone who has navigated it in their own different ways. Ms. Neeti Sachdeva, Registrar MCIA, Ms. Shruti Sabarwal, Partner Shardul Amarchand Mangaldas, Ms. Abhisar Bairagi, Partner Ketan and Company, Ms. Manini Brar, Founder Outbridge Chambers and Solicitors, Ms. Achal Basur, Managing Partner and Founder AB Law. So thank you all of you for joining us today. And as I said that there's no host, there is no guest. This is going to be a conversation where we all learn from each other's experiences. So today's conversation is not about obstacles, but growing it together and how we can find each other's path and how we can support each other. So let's begin. I really want to understand that we always say that build your network. We always talk about it is so important to build our network. But networking is often misunderstood as collecting cards, going to the conferences, or LinkedIn connections. But I want to understand from each one of you, what do you think the networking is? So, Manini, starting from you.
I think, thank you first of all for that lovely introduction. And it's very good to be on the table with some of these women who I have known for very long now, and who have in many ways helped my career at different points through advice or through a helping hand. So I think that is what the network really is. Uh, the first thing is, do you really want to know other people and learn from their experiences? So for me, that is the most important thing. I generally, as a person, am somebody who likes talking to people, and especially my contemporaries who are in practice. I genuinely want to know what it is that they are doing, and how is it different from what I'm doing, and is there a way that either I can learn from it or we can collaborate together. So that is really the basis of all the kind of networks that I have built over years. When I was younger, I was following the act of older people, and now that I'm older, I'm trying to follow the act of my colleagues where I can. So I think that's number one. The thing is, your intention has to be right. The other thing is, for me, you have to find alignment with people. It's not that you go into a conference and you want to talk to everybody because of the banner that they are carrying or because of the name that they have. Is it somebody whose journey is actually aligned with your journey? Is it somebody whose journey actually has had some impact? If that is the case, I think the network follows, because at the end of the day, we are social beings, right? We gravitate towards people who are like us and who will sort of.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the difference is, like you're saying, that networking isn't a group of people you feel you can get something out of. Networking can be support in ways that actually have nothing to do with your progression in your career at all. While it could be your client base at some point, but it's like me calling any of them and being like, hey, listen, this is a situation that's happening. uh, you know, what is just your view on it? And to think that, okay, you know what, this is a person that I can really rely on for their view on a point of law or for like a procedural oddity that is happening. That's also network. It's support in ways that is more than just, I will get something out of this.
Yeah, I always call you whenever I'm in trouble. Yeah.
I also call her.
And suggestions from what?
Yeah.
I mean, I agree with both of them, but I think I disagree as well a bit, right? I think in our profession, networking is also a bit about collecting cards. You have to sort of reach out, meet those people because You won't know whom to connect with and who resonates with you until and unless you're actually interacting with, let's say, hundreds of them. So at the first go, I may end up in a conference and networking, meet those 100 people, collect their cards. But then, yes, I zero it down to those 10, 15, 20 people with whom I can pick up a call, talk. And yes, 80 people who would just be my professional connect. So while I may not need something from them, like to give you an example, right? I met somebody, let's say from Brazil, somewhere. There isn't really professionally I'm doing anything in Brazil, but while I'm going on a holiday, I may just want to ask for a few tips. Now, she's not my friend, but that's a network I'm building. I'm not looking at anything substantive for my professional growth, but you're building networks. So I would say that a part of conferencing, putting yourself out there, I think what we lack completely, if today I have to talk about Bar Bulletin, I have to talk about Bhumika or any one of you, I'll be just so confident to go and talk about it. But you tell me, okay, stand up, talk about yourself, I just can't, right?
You hope somebody else will do that for you.
Right. So I think that's also important because when you meet those people in a circumstance or an environment like a conference, networking group, you learn to pick up how to talk about yourself, which is very essential.
And then you learn to pick up other things as well. So I completely agree with this. How I operate in life is I have in my mind these concentric circles, right? I call them concentric circles. So there are people, like she rightly pointed out, there are people you meet at conferences. They may not be part of your very close, I would say, a group or people you rely upon. But regardless of that, there is some benefit in having interacted with them. They may be somebody who is, really established in the profession, or they may also be people from other countries who you think, are giving you some great tips about how they have progressed in their careers. They may not give you those, like Shruti said, it's not really transactional in that nature, but it's worthwhile to get to know them and to get to introduce yourself to them. So that's your outer concentric circle, and then there's an inner concentric circle, which may not always also be lawyers, but also, because we eat, drink, sleep, law, so it ends up being a lot of lawyers. So those people you really rely upon, when you do need that advice. You need to, and mind you, there are, I mean, everybody's real inner concentric circle. There won't be a lot of people also, because our profession is built in a manner that it is inherently competitive, I want to say. So there are a lot of considerations when somebody decides to help you in the end. So that inner circle is also there. So, but that also I consider part of my network. So that's how I generally operate in life, and in my head, it's all divided in those categories, I guess.
It's interesting because when we talk about networks, you have to realize that for a lot of us, we're the first generation of women who stepped out to have careers. And I'm not talking about only livelihood. Like, if you're lucky, then we're probably the second generation where women stepped out for livelihood. But we're the first ones who actually thought about like having a career and had the education for it and everything. Okay, so focused people. And uh, you know, because we're the first generation of women who stepped out for it, uh, we are the first ones who are building our networks. We weren't handed those over. Most of us were not handed those over. Like, how many women do you know who do what you do? None, right? That's the network. Like, now we are building. How many women do I know who've published a book, who are I don't know, who leading an arbitration center, who have established their own offices, who are partners, right? So we don't know too many of them, and we're building it. And if you go back a generation, and let me tell you, women are, I feel, really good with this, okay? Because if you look at our moms, aunts, look at women in the neighborhood, friends we've had, they'd always share the networks they had. They would tell you, go to this jeweler. They would tell you, go to this salon lady, go to this sabzi wala. They would go out of their way to tell you about this,
And
okay?
give you feedback.
Give you feedback. And
It's like
they would
anecdote.
call you for no reason.
Yeah.
Now imagine if these women had been in the workforce, neighborhood auntie, friends from colony, the kind of networks we would have had. We wouldn't have had to go out and do it as an exercise. Those would have been handed over to us. But since we didn't have them, we didn't get them as a legacy, we're building it. And that's what I feel like. So when I go out and network, I think I'm doing all of the above, everything that everyone said. That I'm trying to get into touch with people professionally. Some of them I like personally, and then they become friends. And when people are on the same wavelength, some of them look dependable, and then I call them for advice, or I share good things and bad things with them. So I think that's what I feel about networking, right?
I have a different opinion on networking.
Mm.
So half of you I met through networking events, except Manini I met through a friend of mine, but all of you, uh, all those cards which I have collected or I have given my cards, they have never worked for me. Like literally never. But one thing which I changed in my networking approach is that whenever I meet or go to any conference, I just stick to one or two people and create a connection. And that's how probably I met all of you and created a bond and created a connection. And though I was not running around asking for who's the most powerful in this conference, but who is the most uh, approachable person whom I can talk to. And then we can enjoy that particular session, have a conversation, have a thought provoking discussion on that conference topic or anything. And then in those little moments, we can share the life which I love talking about. But collecting cards have never worked for me.
But you're right, because I was actually thinking of you while she was saying that if you did that, you would be out of a job.
I'll
Because
tell you this, like I said this, right? Sorry to interrupt you. No. You know, Bhumika, so many people now have told me that when we first met you, we thought you were so arrogant. We didn't want to talk to you. I said, really? Me arrogant? Are you mad? That's not me.
I get that a lot.
Yeah?
I get that a lot.
So that's my point is you go in a conference, you look at somebody, you get a vibe which is very arrogant, you don't approach. You wouldn't really know who the person is. And my point is that all of us are cramped for time. So when you are out there, while it's very good to build network and meet those two people in a conference of 100 and carry it forward, but you're missing on to 98 other. So I would say if you're a fresh graduate or at any age in your life, I would say I still do it, right? When I go to new jurisdictions, scan the room, pick up 25, 30, 40 people, randomly talk to them. When you start having conversation, you realize that, oh my God, what my first impression was, that person is in that. And maybe I can build in. So yeah, I mean, I think every approach is different for every person. Something will work for one, something will not work for other. And yes, my professional life wouldn't work, Shruti, if I go and stand on
And you would never know, right, if you're aligned with that person or not. You are taking that chance, and right, like she said, your time is limited. So you've taken out that 1 or 2 hours of your day. You'd rather just scan the room. Of course, you'll have those little moments and those conversations. You can take, a lot of people take them outside of the conference as well. When you feel that you're aligned, and then you sort of move away from the conference. So if you do talk about, I think there's a problem with the word you're using, which is networking. Networking is literally to build a network, which is what you need to continuously, I think,
Basu cheers. Basu chilling.
so I mean, you need to like continuously be in pursuit of, because it's a network that you continue to build. Like even at 60, you'd continue to build that. But maybe what you're really meaning is connecting with people. That's a different.
It's a very
that's a different,
stylistic
yeah.
thing. Each of
Yeah.
us will have such a different way. Like my way is really is always just naturally been a instant connection. Like it's just that is actually what has come to help me. Even now that I'm thinking about it professionally, has always been more those instant connections. But that may be a problem at my part, that I'm not able to actually network in the right way. I could maybe do so much more if I actually pursued something that wasn't an
You are
instant.
already doing so much.
That's so.
But tell me something I really want to understand. Was networking, and I'm using the word because this is the word I have been using. But was networking comfortable to all of you since beginning, or you changed yourself?
Not at all. It was so uncomfortable because you entered a room and you first feeling was, I don't belong here. I am a nobody.
Yes.
Nobody knows me. I don't know anyone. That's the first feeling you start with.
Yeah.
And everyone who starts will have that feeling. You just have to push through that feeling.
I think it takes you a bit to, learn the ropes. But I'll tell you, like, after a point of time when I realized that people were not intimidating, nobody was arrogant, people were just being themselves. They were, you know,
Other than
yeah,
Nikki.
they didn't they didn't have too much time, and everybody was there with an agenda, everybody had somewhere to get to. But the thing is, like, I'm a people's person. I like people. I like talking to people. I want to know what they're up to, and that's what gives me a kick. Even in my personal time, that's what I like to do. So once you get a hang of it, and that's then you're not out there to do networking for a purpose. It's just out there to get to know people, learn what they are up to. It just enriches your life, your time, and once that's the agenda, I think it gets easier.
Yeah, but just segueing from that back to, I guess, what we really want to discuss here, which is the women networks that we form and how women navigate that space. I remember when I started doing these, arbitration conferences and going into full rooms, I completely recognized this feeling of going in and actually not seeing anyone like myself. I remember that feeling very distinctly. Like at the time, you guys would have been in your firms and doing, going up a very straight cut path. But and actually,
Yes,
Achal is
I concur with
somebody
you. Yes.
that was the only other person that I actually saw a few, yeah,
At conferences.
yeah,
At
at the
conferences, and which
conferences,
was
after a few empty conferences where I couldn't find anyone, then Anchal kind of like glowed out of the darkness. And it was
Basu was chilling.
yeah, and it was really
Dude, this is
interesting.
a catchphrase. They were music. Who do this?
Basur was chilling.
There is no other institution in India at that time which you could talk of. And I realized that 90% of my job was to go and meet people.
Yeah.
And these are all senior people, right? I was what, 3 years into profession? That's about it. And you go into a room and I thought to myself, what do I have to lose? They will rubbish me off, send off. I was like, idiot, doesn't know anything. They won't remember me. So I do not know. Maybe it's just that, like, Abhizu was saying that I'm very, uh, I like talking to people.
But
I
that's a
don't
great
care
perspective
which.
that she actually went in there thinking, what is the most they'll do?
Yeah, yeah,
But whereas when we went in the room, we were like, who are we?
yeah.
What are we doing?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no firm backing. I mean, I'm talking
Yes.
from my perspective. There is no credibility attached to you, right? Because there's no firm that you're a part of. You are yourself. So,
You are the
anyways,
brand, yeah.
you're the brand, and you have no. I mean, when you're
You're still
starting out-
developing the brand.
Yeah, there is no
You
brand.
don't know.
There
You
is
don't
nothing.
know that you are the brand.
Exactly. So you have no backing. You have to establish some sort of credibility to come and speak to someone. And that was a very difficult, I mean, first few years for me at least, because I would always feel like I'm out of place. In a room, I would always feel that I'm not enough. There are all these people from these great institutions, these great partners, and I don't know how to talk to them. So it was
But now we also felt the same way. Huh?
so I'm very happy.
And Archer, the thing is that people understand what a law firm does,
Yeah.
what an
That's
individual does.
Yeah.
When I would tell them I'm working because I was like, are you a lawyer? I'm like, oh my God, what am I doing? There is something wrong. They don't even understand what to do.
Yeah,
Right?
that's
So even
the-
today, I also get
Yeah, for
I'm
you,
also
I'm
asked
sure.
yeah. So are you a lawyer? And that's why I have opened the legal portal.
Yeah.
I am doing legal reporting, and
Are you a lawyer?
Thank you so much, CJ.
which is why she does what she does, guys. I mean,
See, that's why she loves networking.
How have you navigated it to become where you are, to come to the place where you are? I understand there are a lot of issues which you have faced, but I really want to, uh, all the women out there and all the people who are watching this particular podcast, I want to understand that what it has taken to reach to this place. It cannot be just sheer networking, right? We have navigated our life and we have built it in a way that you have to continuously push yourself. And but what else? What each one of you, if you can share that story.
I like to share one story because it's something that had a big impact in the way I saw my career. Was one time when I was still an associate at the firm and it was an overnight filing. I had just gotten married and my in-laws were over for the first time. And I came home at 6 o'clock in the morning. And I was feeling awkward entering my own house and I could not understand for the life of me why. Till my mom-in-law saw me and said that, and she was a working woman herself, that when I went to work, I left my kids on the trust of my neighbor. And when I was at work, I was at work. And it had such a huge impact on me that so women support women in so many ways. Whether it was my mom-in-law's neighbor or my mom-in-law to me, in that sense. So It's
Exceptional cases, but yes.
I think one of the challenges for me was to identify what my own boundaries are and not let other people's opinion of those lines affect me. For example, this thing that we're talking about, the networking, right? There are ways in which you can communicate to someone who's more senior to you. One, what your opinion is about something, and two, if you really need them to help you with something, right? But there is a line. You can be so for me, that line is that I want to be able to express my opinion. And I have to work hard linguistically in terms of my manners to be able to express it correctly. But the line is that I do not want to be disrespectful. That is my line. Now, if somebody tells me that, don't express your opinion, I'm not going to take that. In any situation, I will not take that. But but if the issue is that I have been disrespectful, then I have to reflect and I have to find a way of navigating the situation a little better so that I manage what I want to do. It's the same with, for example, my family life. I have 2 kids, so that story really makes sense to me because the point is there is work time and there is home time. And then on a particular day, your kid is unwell or you've been up all night and you still have court the next morning and you have those experiences also. But the point is, once I am at work, okay, if I have made it to the courthouse and I'm carrying my files, and then somebody says, oh, but your kid is young or he's at home and who's taking care of him? That is my line. I will not let somebody else tell me how I want to feel about my own mothering. So I think that process for me has taken some time. But now that I've gotten there, I do feel a little, I feel like I have stopped worrying about what people say. And now this whole yardstick also of success.
That makes all
shifts.
change.
Yeah, it has changed.
Yeah,
It has
I
changed.
think my approach to profession has been different at different points of time in my profession. When you start off, like the only thing that has been consistent is that I've tried to be really good at what I do. Like, I have to be perfect, and I'll tell you something. Let me rephrase that. Not perfect, like very good. Okay, I try to be very, very good at what I do, and try to be very thorough. But I'll tell you what, because I very early on I realized that because there are lesser women, uh, every time we fail or we do something badly, it kind of reflects upon all women that, this is how women associates are, this is how women partners are, this is how women lawyers are. So the thing is that, you're just shouldering too much all the time. And initially, I used to be very, very conscious of it, like very conscious. So over a period of time, I stopped caring about it because there's so many other women too now who are there with you, so it's not as if you're reflecting badly upon everybody. But B, also because you become a little older, there are other things that you're are important. You're paying more attention uh to self development, to your network, to the people that paying more attention to your friendships, to your relationships, everything. So then you're striking another kind of balance. So, and I think that kind of worked. Like it works for me professionally too. The more confident I am in my own skin, I think that works well professionally.
I mean, that's what maturity is, right? Both as a person and in the
Like to
profession.
believe them.
And that's where you achieve really this. I mean, giving my example, right, Bhumika, like I said, I started off my career in an institution
Right.
where the major role was to go and market, for a lack of a better word, to let people be aware of it. The first hurdle I faced was that everybody wanted to meet for dinner and drinks. I was like, sorry, I'm not going to do that. Not that I don't drink, not that I don't eat dinner, and not that I don't enjoy doing it, right? But somewhere I spoke to myself and said that I need to have my professional boundaries. And then I spoke to my organization. I took them into confidence. So I would say that my first colleague, boss, whatever one may call it, they realized that yes, where am I coming from? I'm not coming from a position of saying that I'm not available after 8, but I'm coming from a position where I say that if it's a professional conversation, why can't I do it over a breakfast? Why can't I do it over a lunch? Why can't I do it during the day? Right? And then I did face it from, it was not a piece of cake, right? That, okay, fine, everybody accepted. They were like, then probably we should think of hiring a man for a position like this. Yes, maybe you should, but that's what you get. It's not easy. Today, having spent 20 years in the profession, it's very easy to come and say, I said this, I followed the line, and that's about it. It wasn't. There were self doubts. They were like, what if they replace me? What if I don't have a job?
Yeah.
Should I succumb to it? Is it really that bad? I would talk to my parents about it. I would talk to my professional colleagues about it, right? And they're like, "Niti, if you don't feel comfortable, you just don't feel comfortable." And I've had very terrible experiences with people, I can tell you that. Maybe for another podcast. Let's not go into that. But it's just that I think somewhere you self doubt. There is a self doubt even today, I can tell you, on so many things. But then, yes, you pick up a call, talk to your colleagues, some in the profession, and I think some not in the profession. Because people are feeling like my sister's a doctor. She feels so many of these things in her profession as well. And then when we sit down and talk, it's like, really? You also have this problem? Oh God, it's like universal. And you move on. Right? But I think it's good to, like what Manani said, know what you are comfortable in, make your boundaries, stick with it, people follow. Today, I don't mind. Like 20 years into profession, somebody says, okay, let's meet for a drink and dinner. I like, okay, let's go. Now they know what I am. The impressions have been created.
Yeah, it
But
takes
when you're
it takes
it
it
takes
takes
time.
it takes
Boundaries are set in
experience.
that.
Yeah, it takes experience, and some of it, like, starts dissolving when you know that you're very good at what you do. Yeah.
Your confidence comes in.
Posturing is a big problem.
Yeah.
But
You
that's
have
what
to-
I felt.
And you have to work for it. To be there, you have to work for it.
The thing is, it always takes longer than expected. It comes around like saying the appropriate things, doing the appropriate things, doing the expected stuff. But then there is this other path, which is of your own choosing, where you are setting these boundaries for yourself, and it always takes longer than expected because people are, wondering what this person is, like.
And
I have
arrogance.
lost- And arrogance. I have lost
Less
cases
struggle, right? So of course
because
gonna
of,
take-
because of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
For me as a woman, it's a
combination.
big problem how you posture yourself. So I faced that initially. I was told in a lot of different ways that I need to speak less. I need to smile less. I need to, if I'm going for a client meeting, I need to be really serene and, I need to be like really serious for them to take me seriously. Initially, I would obviously, and I'm not as strong as these people, I gave into it like multiple times, but obviously without any without any success. But then I realized, that's a wrong yardstick that's being applied to us as women, because you are tending to be taken more frivolously if you are smiling in a conference, or you are
Or you look young.
you look young. And that's a different conversation. I mean, asking someone to wear a particular garment because you will tend to look older. I mean, it's just, and these small things, then they stick inside you, because you're like, okay, maybe this is not working for me because I'm not doing ABCD things. And I think that's really tough. I would really say a lot of the women, a lot of the girls who are joining the profession, they do face this at some point in the time. I can only speak for chambers. I've never worked in a firm, but they are asked to dress in a particular manner, have particular friends, simply because they are, don't be so bubbly in court. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't, in chamber. I don't want to. I don't want to hear a good morning which is too loud. I mean, I've heard these from,
And we
women
don't even have to
associations.
wait for other people to teach us this. We
Yes,
also do
correct,
it.
correct.
I remember my first ever trip to the US, my aunt took me to this very famous store for like really beautiful whites. And she still calls me by a nickname in reference to that incident, because I told her I want no frill, no lace, no puffy sleeves, nothing. I want the plainest white shirt there is possible. That's what I asked for. And she's just like, what is this? You right from India only? But we do it
yes,
ourselves.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Because
So
we
Anshul,
have
it's
that-
not like that you say that we haven't faced, right? Today, like I said, I can talk about it and say it. There was a point in time, if I think of it, when I started my career, I changed my wardrobe. I started to wear Indian wear, which I've never done. Not that I don't like it. Today, I love wearing a sari, but I just changed it. And then I thought to myself, are people really judging me for that? And maybe they are, and they were. But like, chuck it, man. Move on in life, right? And that's where what she says makes sense, that you have to be confident of what you are doing. It takes time. And it will take time. I think if today everybody starts to be carefree and say, I don't care, we would not be as resilient. We would not have come the path that probably we have followed. We all have to go through a process.
Actually,
is
because,
important.
by the end of it, it's about you. I mean, we're all in a professional space. We all have our own practices, very enterprising in that way. And the point is to come to a point where you actually run your practice the way that you want to run it on the professional side also.
Yeah.
It is this journey
Yes.
Yeah.
That makes
that
you
you
more
have to
confident.
go through.
Yes.
Because
True.
eventually what happens is people otherwise, you start measuring your success by others' yardsticks of success. And that will only go if you've been through the journey of
You need
chipping
this
away.
perspective.
Yes.
You need
That,
this.
okay,
Yeah.
this is what I'll do, this is what I won't do. And now I'm here, and it's okay if somebody is somewhere else, because I'm here and I like this space.
Yeah, and if
And-
someone wants to work 10 hours a day, they should do that. And if someone wants to have more time at home, they should do
Yeah.
that. And neither one is more successful than the other. That's also something
And
that
neither
we
is a
see.
reflection of a woman.
Yeah.
You can't say, oh, it's a, I mean, that's also
It's
a
a-
thing, right? So
yeah.
it really helps. Like
And it's
Anandi said,
only in India. It's only in
No,
India
I
where
would
the
disagree.
whether the
I would disagree.
timings are.
I would disagree.
I would disagree.
Wherever,
violently.
yeah.
Yes,
I have,
yes.
I mean, I've worked in Freshfields in Paris office. This timing issue, dressing issue, talking how you would
Yes.
talk. These are very
Probably it's more
relevant
subtle
issues
over
there.
there, but yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
Okay, I have a thought that while when I joined this profession, I was more accepting in terms of what suggestions are coming to me. Someone is telling me you should have behaved, you shouldn't have said this after the meeting, you shouldn't in the meeting, and a lot of suggestions used to come to me. By the time I've evolved into this personality who is always questioning, who is, I have my opinions, I express opinions very clearly, but I face a lot of issues because of expressing opinions, because they are not accepted. People still compare me with the person who I was back 13, 14 years back. People still think, oh, she must have achieved something. That's why the arrogance have come. No, we are evolving, right? But tell me something. Have you also faced that expressing opinions have landed you in trouble?
All the time.
Studio for life.
There are stereotypes, right? You keep
Yes.
quiet, then you
is,
don't know.
Yeah.
Mine is actually not that at all. I have to
Really?
say. Yeah. I mean, the moment she asked me that question, that answer in my mind was, I don't think that's happened to me. But look, it's also where you find yourself. Yeah. And who you find yourself surrounded by. So that's also maybe just a thing
Yeah, and
to
where you start from. See, when I started off, when you're new in an institution, when you're new in a profession, you try to be a people pleaser. And for some of us, it's also a personality type. We are people pleasers. Okay, so then. At one point of time, you realize that probably it's not working for you. Your personality, your very personality, is not working for you professionally, because then people are just taking you for granted, or you're being perceived as somebody easy, or somebody they can just work around. And then you have to really change things, overhaul your personality, take a step back, think about what you're doing and what you need to do differently. And I don't even say that this is necessarily a good thing. It worked for me, but I don't say it works for everyone. Yeah, but
Yeah, I mean,
somewhere you
so-
have to be more decisive. And
Yeah, so on that, the thing is that for when something goes wrong, right? Like for example, somebody comes and tells you कि आप ज़्यादा बोल रही थी, madam.
बहुत
कम
जोर
बोल
से
रही थी."
बोलिए.
Now, see, the point is that there are 4-5 reasons. So I think that is very important. There are 4-5 reasons why something goes wrong. Okay, in a conversation or in your work or something. One of those reasons might be that you are a woman and you are being perceived another way. But the point is that there are 4 other reasons, and you have to be able to fix those 4 other reasons. So my work in progress is always to stop focusing on that first you're a woman thing and first fix the other 4 reasons.
Because that's something you can't even fix. That's
Yeah.
somebody else's
That is
prejudice. What are
something-
you supposed to do about
Exactly.
it? Yeah.
So sometimes when I am talking too much, and it is a fact, like even when I'm in court, I argue an extra mile when I really should keep quiet. I have to learn to actually keep quiet.
Yeah, which is a
And
craft, like which
which
is a
is a craft.
professional craft, which is a separate thing
Yeah.
altogether.
Yeah.
But the way I think what Bhumika wants to point at is that how you're perceived, in the sense that if you are quiet, you are a great woman. It's great to have you in the team. You're not rebelling. You're doing everything that you're supposed to do. But the minute, I think what she means is when you start expressing opinions, or if you're, there is no middle path.
Yeah.
Either you're an arrogant woman
Huh.
or you're just a quiet lady.
But for
What is
example,
the-
what Abhisar was saying about, like you get better at your work, right?
Hmm.
So that is the point. Like when you're quiet and you're learning, it's very different from when you're quiet and you're really good at what you do. Because
Huh,
when
correct, of course.
because when you're in a room and you're quiet and you're like heading an arbitration practice that you have built, when you speak, people listen to you. So it's not, what I'm trying to say is that perception has something to do with where you are in life and what you have accomplished also. And how many parts of that perception have you been able to fix for yourself?
No, Manini, I think I'll tell you that that means I have not achieved anything in my life, because every time I get, when other people are standing,
Bhumika, what room you are in? Your
Also,
audience.
no, it's a
then I'm
personality.
in, every time I'm in a wrong
Look at
room.
opinion and
No,
No, I agree. I also get, I mean, I am the last person to say this because I get lambasted all the time for being very opinionated.
It is the people who are not accepting
But that
your
now, see, now I know that it's the people.
Bhumika,
Earlier, I
comes
didn't
from
know.
ad, right?
Properly, yeah, properly.
It's also a personality. I would say it's nothing right or wrong, just something for reflect. You seem approachable by somebody to come and give you an opinion on your opinion. But if I had a personality of being arrogant initially, people wouldn't dare and come and tell me, even if my opinion did hurt their feelings. Because you're somebody who is open to self criticism, you're open to getting those, you want to know. Like today, you would want to know, how did I do it? Do you think many people want to know? Or even if they want to know, will they ask a room? Because you ask, people give you opinions, and not everybody will give you a good opinion. So an
And if
impression
without
gets created.
asking, someone is giving an opinion, then you have to give it that much weightage for what
Yeah.
is worth,
No,
which is
no,
nothing.
it's not about that. For example, if there is some policy, and we are sitting in a room where some of the position holders are looking for opinions, but the moment they are basically from us, from people like me, they are looking for an
Oh, yes, man.
validation
Yes.
that yes, this is right. She will say it, and the moment I say it, this is utter rubbish. It's like,
You're the bad person.
Yeah.
See, but
Who
wanted
gives you
to
that
hear that this
voice?
is- I
Who
used-
gave you that voice?
Mm,
It's
yeah.
us who gave you that voice, and now you're using it against
But
us.
would
So
you say
have
this
to
is gender? Would you say this has something to do with your gender?
Yeah.
Or would you say this is something to do with the people you're interacting with? If you, I mean,
I think
what is your
the people who are at the top positions, be it, I think mostly men are at the top positions, unfortunately. But somewhere I have realized this, that whenever I'm expressing something that this is not right, or probably there are certain policies which I have said that I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that, and I have been questioned that
Yeah, so
who are you?
my approach now has become like, if I have to say it's utter rubbish, and sorry, if I have to say it's utter rubbish and people don't approve that I should say it's utter rubbish, then I say it's a stinking pile of discarded material, in my opinion. So yeah, but that's what I was saying earlier, that at the end of the day, you can't silence. I have figured out as one of my boundaries that you can't silence my opinion.
Because
I
if
will
you
say it.
silence that, if you are someone who changes your opinion or gets silenced, actually you will find yourself lesser and lesser in those rooms.
yes?
Yeah, that
Yes.
also doesn't
Yeah.
work.
That
also
doesn't work because our profession also requires you
to have a
to
voice.
have a voice.
No,
to have
actually, I
an
just
But a
wanted to say
sweeter one.
something on you said that. Is it
Yes.
because of the gender thing? I
Huh.
think a bit it is.
It
We
is.
can't be oblivious of it, I'll tell you. I mean, there is a reason that people say men are from Mars and women are from Venus, right? I think as a woman, you're looking for a validation a lot more
Yeah.
than men do, generally. I mean, and again, it's personality to personality.
Yeah.
That's right.
True.
And because you're looking for a validation, people like to give you opinions on you. And when they are not to what you were expecting, we become even more less self-confident.
But they cross the line that I'm not asking for an opinion on those things which they are giving. Also, just trying to understand that organize a lot of events. Whenever you are creating a panel, and then we decide that just to bring that balance of gender diversity, we have to have one woman on the panel, right? What is your thought? Because for that one women, lot of women are fighting for that one position. How can we create support systems that we have to basically not just fight for that one position, but out of those seven people, it has to be equally, like, be it men, be it women, we all have to have that secured position on the basis of knowledge or caliber, and not just that one position which we are going to give to that women, that okay
33%.
So I'll tell you, I don't think it is about ticking a box to say there's a one woman on the panel. At least that's not how we operate, I'll say. So you select a topic, you select a jurisdiction, you start to identify people, right? And like you said, unfortunately, for every 100 men in that position, you have only 10 women. It's changing. It's drastically changing, as we see in probably 10 years PQE, 8 years PQE, but you take it up to 30 years PQE, it is.
I'll tell you what, we are only seeing the women who are at the top. We are not bringing or pushing the women who are starting. There are a lot of.
Let me just complete on that, Bhumika. That's what I said, right? So today, when I do an India IDR week, let's take an example. There is a certain PQE I have to be careful of. You can't just say that, why can't you have a 2-year PQE sitting? He or she is very intelligent, can make comments. There's so many women who don't want to speak on a panel. You'll be
Really?
surprised.
Really? Yeah, I'm
You'll be
shocked at that.
surprised. They're like, no, we're happy to just write something if you want. We don't want to come and talk. We're not comfortable. I refused. I was invited to be a part of a conference. I'll not name it. I wrote to the organizations, your brochure has no single woman. I am not going to accept the speaking position because you want to tick the box.
Hmm. Yeah, I have to admit, I have been the box ticker person and benefited from the box ticking a few times. So that is there. But one thing is that, I mean, let's park this panel thing aside for a minute and just look at like the larger problem. The larger problem is that women, when they associate with other women, don't operate within the realm of understood business practices. For example, men are so good at, supposing I meet you at a coffee, okay? You tell me what you want, I will tell you what I want. We'll develop an understanding and a friendship, but even a professional understanding that maybe I can help you, you can help me. Somehow, within the woman network, and I have been doing work with arbitral women for a very long time now, they don't have that understanding of reciprocity. That, okay, if this girl is going out of her way to help me with something, I should also in return think of her when there is an opportunity to help her with something. What happens is that disseminates somewhere, and then you start, moving to other networks which are already established networks where there are enough men and enough choices and whatever. So when you come back to it, you have to build this network also. You have to invest in this network. If you want to be on a panel for the NCIA, you have to go and meet Neeti or meet someone in the NCIA, right? Or introduce
I'll tell you, Manini, I'll disagree with you, and not because I have something to refute it with, but because I don't have enough evidence to, of what you're saying. Because I'll tell you, I feel the problem is in something that I started off with, that women do not have enough networks. We've just broken into these rooms, right? We're still building it. So even if, and I'll tell you what, there are 100 men at workplace, 10 of them are going to be super helpful. Okay. There are 5 women at workplace. 2 of them are super helpful. Now, if you look at it proportionately, that's a lot of women being helpful, but that doesn't show up that way. And I think that scarcity sometimes gets mistaken for like a flaw of character, which isn't. Like, women by nature, by conditioning or for whatever reasons, we're more cooperative. I walked in, you all told me to go fix my hair. So I'm just saying that we are like, you walk into a club in the middle of the night and and you talk to the women in the bathroom. That is what women are. Like they're all helpful, right?
Yeah, so it boggles me. That's why it doesn't translate into
And
a
I'll tell you,
professional
and I'll tell
working
you why. What
relationship.
I think,
Yeah.
Marini, is because of the scarcity. Because the
size.
institution, a friend of mine said yesterday, like, who put this 33% number there? Why is this 33? Why is it not 50% or whatever? Now there are too many women in the workplace. So the problem is that we don't have, like, the institution is such that women have been put in a place where they have to compete with each other even if they don't want to. And when you're not secure in your own position, how are you going to make place for somebody else? And that's why when I was telling you that aunties and friends and everybody who tells you which baker to go for, which salon lady to go for, these are women who build these networks and they're secure in their networks and they're ready to pass it on. The day women have such networks in profession, they'd be ready to pass it on.
But sometimes I do think it's an issue of having a conversation. Like so many young kids who come up to me like at a conference or who want to be associated with arbitration. I mean, it's also you have to articulate what it is that you want. I mean,
That's
in, in a
that's a
very
different
passionate,
conversation.
That's a
Okay.
different. I think
That's a different
the
conversation.
young kids today are very well able to articulate what they want. I mean, I'm being very gender neutral here. I've met some really great women who are now getting into the profession. I believe. I mean, I fully agree with Abhisar. The pie is really small. So I'll tell you how, like how I view it.
It's an artificially small pie.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue. Yeah.
So if I'm professionally, for example, now I mean, if I'm to refer something to say an XYZ, in my head, and I may be wrong in doing this, in my head, my first consideration is not going to be that I must push for this person simply because that person is a woman. I do not think I would do that justice to that particular matter only if I try and do this. Yes, of course, if I have a larger pool and I'm very confident with the meritocracy of someone, I will do that. But as it happens, I do only know, say, 2 women out of 5
that
men.
comes
I
back to
don't
your
know.
first topic of networking. I'll
Exactly.
tell you, people, women who have been 10 years, 15 years senior in profession, they said, see, one has to be conscious of our environment. There is a part of us which wants to go back home at times, spend time with our kids. I'm not saying men don't want to or fathers don't want to, but our society have sort of broadly, I would say, demarcated the expectations from a woman and a man. Not right or wrong, I'm not commenting on that, but there is a broad classification. Of course, there are aberrations around and all of it. And she told me, you all meet for networking to build, like in a smaller group, 10 people, after work. After work, I want to go back home and put my child to sleep. I can't come. Now, 6 times, 7 times over 6, 7 months, we have met. And I am meeting, I'm telling you, I have a network of these lawyers in Bombay. One day I put my foot down and I said, I'm the only woman in the room. Every time you're meeting, until unless there are 2 more women coming, I'm not coming. And they're like, we never realized this problem. I said, it's not a problem.
It's a reality.
It's a reality. We have been meeting for 10 dinners in this year. So we planned a dinner a month. I would always, and they were friends, right? All professional colleagues and friends. And then we reached out to a few more women. And they're like, yeah, we'll come. One would come. Somebody who did not have family obligations would be more eager to come. So we can't be oblivious of this, right? So networking, while I said it's very good to take out a time. We are meeting today on a weekend,
Yeah.
right? We would have all taken care of our family responsibilities and then come in. Is everybody able to do it? No. Is it easier for men to do it? Yes. Let's be honest about it.
And also at a stage where we really networking, like at our stages where you've sort of now finally come into your own. And I think the most important thing so far, Manini, you have said, which is that you come to a certain stage where you stop caring so much what other people think. And then this is also probably the stage where people are having children and, all of that. And those obligations can certainly, take away so much time which you would otherwise do to networking. But even the opposite is true. We have an impression of a woman who doesn't have kids and is not married as, oh, she's a workaholic. What the hell, man? You're damned if you do. You're damned if you don't. Yeah.
Yes, because we're trying to put them. I'll tell you, I mean, it's a really, whatever, like a personal anecdote, but when I was expecting, and I think we've spoken about this, I would go in a court multiple times, obviously, to appear, and I was expecting very clearly. And multiple times, judges have asked me, why do you need to come? Why? Why are you coming? Why are you coming? I said, and I'm comfortable. My doctor's given me the get go. I mean, I want to come and argue. No, now what is the need? Now what is the need to practice? And this affects you not in that manner, but in the fact that of course, then there is a certain point in your time in your life, and your personal life kind of takes over, right? The narrative, as it should. But then when you do not see more women doing the same thing, what helped me, you start to question. So what helped me greatly was in Bangalore. I have this like really nice, she's a lawyer, she's a great friend of mine. And she, and I heard her story, and she was doing the exact same thing. She was back at work at 6 months, 7 months, and runs a chamber, blah blah blah. So I realized at that point how important it is for me to see other women do exactly what I want to do, for them to push me to do exactly. So if I was the only one doing it, maybe I would have fallen out of work. But she kept me going, thinking, oh, if she's done it, I can do it. Similarly, for your practice, if a senior advocate, if it's a lady who's really done it, like for example, like Miss John has done it, and they're really great ladies who inspire. So it helps you, it pushes you, because somewhere down the line you will start to question yourself. Obviously, every year, I mean, I question myself, and then you look at these people and you say,
You
what, they've
question
done it.
yourself a little less if somebody's
Yeah,
already done
exactly.
it. Yeah.
Exactly. And if
Yeah.
somebody's already, but men have that advantage every day, because they have seen a lot of
I've seen a
examples.
lot of people.
They have
do
seen
it.
I'll
100
tell you, this
people
was a
do it.
discussion we were having, and this is about, let's say, in a law firm you're working, a PQA for about, let's say, 7-8 years. Now, there might be that you're married and you have some issues which have come up. If your child has fallen sick all of a sudden, you have to do a filing tomorrow. A man would or a young professional would very easily ask another of his colleague and say, can you please take care of it? I really need to get back. Firstly, they don't need to, because the obligation rests more with a woman than a man. But they would just very simply pass on without thinking that the client's going to go away, or the senior partner is going to see that I haven't worked and this person has worked. But for women, like what she was also saying, right? We are also insecure. I don't think, Shruti, that even today, at least I have been like, chuck it, I don't care. I still care what people think about me.
But
Right?
that's
You never
changing.
give up.
That is
So I
changing.
think that is where I think that what Anshul was saying, that if I am somebody who is 5 years, 10 years PQE, I have a family thing which has come up. I should feel confident to pass it on to Manini and say, Manini, please fill in my position.
But for that, we also need a Manini
Need
in
more
office.
Manini.
Yeah.
If there is no Manini, then there's a
But I
problem.
feel like
that's
we
right.
have done all of these. It's so odd that actually we have, if you think about it, we've done all of these. The truth is, we are not the first people, suffering in the sense of women in the workplace. We have now decades of examples, fewer examples, but there are women that have done it and have killed
Killed
it.
it, exactly.
Actually, we are all now at that stage where we need to start doing and stop feeling like, oh, who is going to do for us? Because whoever had to do for us did for us. And frankly, it was we only did for each other, and that's how we do it.
Exactly.
And you have examples around you. And maybe also, besides, you can see that a firm is actually a little different from the rest of the situations. You have so many women. I started, in an all male team when I started my career. I was the youngest and the only woman, to a place where I was in a team full of women, led by women. So the range has been.
It's been
And
great.
it's great
and,
for you, right?
See,
I mean,
firms are
because
more conscious.
Yeah.
you work
They're
with
more
it.
conscious.
Huh,
They're more
correct.
organized with this thing, and they've been doing this for a very long time. And the firms that we've been working for, they've been doing this for a very long time. And the women that we saw when we entered, and they weren't many. I'd agree with that. But like they'd already made partners. They'd already gone through the entire circus, so they knew how to maneuver, and they did help out. Even in the smallest of ways, if they told you which court clerk to go to, who's going to be the better person, where to eat in these Azari, like all those kind of things, okay? But women did help out with whatever networks they
Yeah,
must have.
but I think the distinguishing thing is that the women, over the decades of examples that we've had, I think because they were even fewer than us,
Yeah.
they were operating in silos.
Yeah.
And now our generation of people is confronted with the question that, okay, now we are all in these positions. How do we develop that network, that business network, which our counterparts already have? What are the things that you need to do? So for me, that question starts with, first you articulate what you want. Are you clear about, you go into a room, you want to be an arbitrator, किसी को बोलो कि you want to be an arbitrator.
Easy money.
It's not easy, but you have to find, that is the journey of a professional.
And then imagine I have been promoting institutions, right? And I have been accepting arbitrator appointments. And somebody consciously told me, "You've never told us this."
That you want to do it. Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'm not most comfortable telling you that I'm happy to accept arbitrator appointments.
But isn't it a
It
very
is-
important part
It
of the
is,
conversation?
but you're not able to do it.
That's
And
exactly-
imagine,
And I've written an article on
Yes.
it.
that is your journey. Imagine
But
about
can
it,
I,
right?
can I just go in a little tangent here
Yeah.
and just say, let's take a step back. See, we're sitting on this table in the capital of the country. We are women who are very privileged that
Yeah.
way, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We have a lot of education. We've had a lot of exposure, the right kind of exposure, right kind of support. We come from families who are very, very supportive, partners who are very supportive. Now, think of women in 2-tier and 3-tier cities, okay? What have they really made it into the room? Okay, we've made it somewhere in some rooms to some tables, some high tables. There are women who've not made it there. Okay, so this is all like, if you talk about intersectionality and all, this is going to apply very, very differently to them
Yeah.
because it's going to be very competitive. And even if you look at us, okay, so yeah, of course, there are so many of us, we've like broken some, shattered some ceilings, we've gotten into the rooms where we're in a position to tell other women, where to find the ropes. But there's this overlapping, like the development or the progress is in, it's overlapping somewhere. We're still telling people that like the AC temperatures are not right for women, okay, and we're still doing it. Like, so there's still that stage that some of us are going through. So I think it'll take time till we all reach a stage same as men. And in that situation, because I hear this a lot, that women who have reached the top are not helping other women, etc. And I feel that even if 10%, 20%, 50% women are actually helping other women while they're still on shaky grounds, I think it's commendable. We don't give them enough benefit. And if it's happening in 2-tier cities, 3-tier cities, I think we're not giving them enough benefit for what they're
I would
doing.
say it's much more. You please go to a tier 2 city bar association, woman bar
Yes,
association.
that's such a
office.
wonderful place to
It
be.
is a great place to be
Yeah.
because they will talk about everything. They will also discuss whatever's happened in the day, how they've sort of navigated different hurdles in the day.
etc.
Yes, and it's supremely amazing. I mean, I would say even for Gurgaon, Faridabad, please go visit the women associations there are doing great. And I think what they are also doing, which we are kind of, I mean, I feel lacking here, is that they have great mentorship, which is missing in the spaces that we sort of occupy. So that is something that those people have understood, and they are we must sort of look at them as well for doing that. They are mentoring young girls who enter the profession, are immediately told, what, even if you're in a chamber, please go join this bar association. You will meet so and so, so and so, so and so
Yeah,
person.
yeah,
You
yeah.
have a problem at workplace, somebody is bothering you. You please go talk to the secretary. She will, like whatever. She'll come down with a boulder and she'll do what has to be done. So I think that is a space that now, like Shruti said, we are in those positions. We need to be doing stuff.
Yeah.
And I think mentorship, it obviously will begin with that.
Yeah.
And I would also say, and that will also increase the pie that you're looking at.
Bhumika, we have now had about 8 case managers. Except for once, there are always women case managers. And it's not like consciously I'm picking up somebody's a woman. I'll be honest, right? I have to run an institution at the end of the day as well. For every 50 applications I get of women, there are only about 2 I get for men.
Really?
Can you imagine? The tables have turned. It may be one thing I feel is that as an institutional rule, the role that you have it, I think men still feel it's not really legal, right? Why am I doing it?
Yeah.
So imagine there's a prejudice on the sort of a role
Yes.
that you're looking out for as well. And second, I think I was talking to some of the national law schools, and they said that the numbers have changed. 70% of the class is women, and 30% or 35, 65, 35 is now men. So there are more women entering the profession. 20 years back, when I thought of by accident to be a lawyer, I'm not kidding. So many people, women, asked me, "You're a Punjabi, you're from Delhi, and a lawyer.
Never get
Koi
married."
shaadi nahi
Yes,
kiyega."
yes, yes. Yes,
Can you imagine? That was the considerations about
big
doing
thing in
Yeah, yeah,
Chandigarh.
yeah, yeah.
Guys, I want to, like, due to paucity of time,
Yes.
we have to have few more. I just want my last session to be some of the fill in the blanks and quick answers. So starting from you, Manini, what would you say? I wish someone had told me.
I wish someone had told me to keep my voice.
I wish someone had told me.
I wish someone had told me to believe in myself, to back myself.
I wish someone had told me it is okay to make mistakes.
I wish someone had told me just find be yourself. So that's why she should be giving us those questions like in advance. I keep saying this
I
podcast.
wish someone had told me what Bhumika is going to ask today.
But actually, going back to your bit, that is why being in a room where you're saying it's utter rubbish is so important.
Yeah.
No matter what the fallback of that is, it is very important to be in an important room and call out the rubbish.
Bhumika, what do you wish?
Abhi, we're missing you. Abhisa's answer. Have you
Abhisar is still.
Damn it.
I
thought guys, yeah, I think Bhumika is answering. We
Yeah,
can think
Bhumika,
on the
okay.
vibe. In the
I
meanwhile.
wish someone had told me that you are going to make it.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I wish someone had told me that you do not have to change your personality, opinions, and everything about you to make it.
And also, I wish someone had told me it will take a while.
Yeah.
That I think everything needs to understand, especially the Gen Z.
yeah.
Oh my
Oh,
god.
they want to be arguing today.
No, I don't have time.
Sorry. Yes, positive.
Success stopped meaning fill in the blank and started meaning fill in the blank.
Oof.
Success stopped meaning someone else's stamp of approval and has started meaning my own stamp of approval.
Beautiful.
And that's true. Like it's an, I don't know if it's an age thing or what, but
Yeah.
it's
We
true.
all like stand by their answer.
I think we
It is.
said your answer.
Actually, frankly, I would have said that to adhere to some standards, but yeah, okay.
Very beautifully put.
The biggest mistake young lawyer make is
The biggest mistake young lawyers make is that they get impatient.
Shruti.
Yeah, I agree with that. It's really impatience.
No, I would say wanting to be somebody else, idealizing somebody to be else without knowing what their own capabilities and strong points are.
Okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest mistake they make is not looking deep enough to understand who they really are. And then they start to mimic, which is a problem. Not what you
Perfecting their art
Hmm.
before
Hmm.
they start expecting results. That's it.
Just impatience. That's a partner talking about a unique.
Let's find
Dude, I like my juniors, guys. You're good. You're very good.
Please find out who this kid is.
No, they rejected. They rejected. Not you guys. Calm
Thank you
karo.
so much, guys. I think I had such a fun 1.5 hours of conversation. If nothing, today's conversation, I have learned that it's not the perfect circumstances which we have reached to this level, but it's about making the most use of it. So thank you so much for giving your time. I really enjoyed the conversation.